I am Angie Ipong. I come from a peasant family. But I worked with my parents when I was small. But my mother was so interested that we go to school because she said that the only legacy she can give us is an education. So I went to college and I'm a teacher by profession. So I taught for 4 years. But later I thought that maybe teaching in the school is not the best. So I said, I joined the Mission Society and we worked in the sugarcane fields of Negros among the sugar workers. There I saw the sufferings of the sugar workers. But then later, we were invited by the Merinos fathers to work in the plantations that were booming. That was the banana plantations in Mindanao. So there I saw how the multinationals were encroaching in the lands of the peasants. So I said, oh my goodness, it was happening with my father who became a tenant in our own land, and this is happening in Negros, and here it's happening also in Mindanao. So I said, definitely I must really give myself to the peasantry. So from there on, I worked with the peasants. For almost 40 years of my life, I was working with the peasants. But one day, we were having a meeting of the women and men leaders of peasants, and suddenly there came this group of army, military men from the government, and they started to go around and then pick me up, arrested me. And I said, wait, what do you want? Show me your arrest order. But they said, no, it's not needed. They dragged me, they handcuffed me right away, dragged me into a van and blindfolded me. Thereon I did not see anything anymore where I was being brought, who were bringing me. Anyway, they brought me from camp to camp. I was incommunicado for 12 days, no right to counsel, and I was tortured and sexually molested. The worst thing they did to me was they undressed me. They started to beat me with my head, and my shoulders, and my hips, and the worst thing, they undressed me. And they started to touch my private parts. And I said, don't do this to me. Don't do what you don't want to do to your mothers and your sisters. But they were laughing with mockery. And I said, wow, I could not believe that such a thing could happen to a 60-year-old woman like me. Anyway, I said, they left me, but they turned on the air conditioner full blast. So I was shivering in the cold. I was handcuffed that way, my back, and then they left me. Then I said, I could not believe such a thing could be done to a 60-year-old woman like me. And I said, something I must be able to tell the world. I am protesting against what they are doing to me. But if I shout, they will be drawn to hear me. So I said, what can I do? You know, I made my hunger strike for 12 days. I did not eat anything. And definitely they heard. Because after 12 days, they brought me to a regular detention center. There I saw my charges. I was charged with 2 counts of rebellion, double murder, double attempted murder, and arson. I said, my goodness, after all the almost 40 years of my life working with the peasants, now I am facing criminal charges. I said, what crime have I done? Is it a crime to serve the peasants? No, I said to myself, it's never a crime to serve the people. So that gave me the strength. But anyway, even while you have that strength, still you are in the detention center. It was so hot and so noisy, and I was sick, you know. I did not know what was happening. My head was aching. I had high blood pressure. I said, what can I do? So anyway, I stood there up the space. I said, maybe I can garden. I started to garden every day. I would go and garden. Suddenly, the things that I was feeling, the pain left me, and I said, oh, and I started to work. After 2 months, I think 2 to 3 months, I had a big organic vegetable garden. And that was the time I was able to somehow understand what this organic vegetable garden is all about, and then teaching my other inmates. And every day we were making salad, and I was giving to my co-inmates and to the other people in jail. Somehow, not only that, but that gave me also the chance to be able to do other things. You know, make so many livelihood projects. We had a sewing workshop there, and then we were cooking there, selling all these vegetables, and so bonding with the other people. So I said, you know, it is not, my imprisonment was not just being imprisoned, but it was a way to bond. It was a way to be able to be creative. It was a way to use my hands. And be able to do a lot of things in prison. So I said to myself, prison walls, iron bars, and barbed wires can only imprison the body, but not our minds, our thoughts, and what we stand for. So we did everything, and my maxim there was, bloom where you are planted. I am in jail, I must bloom where I am. So all the 6 years that I stayed in jail, there was never a time that I was idle. And there was never a time that I said to myself, well, I am regretting that I have committed my life to this task. No. In fact, from that time when I said to myself, I must go on. So after 6 years, I was out of prison because they could not find anything to charge me. But that was after 6 years. I said, terrible. Imagine, so I went to the Department of Justice and I said, you better indemnify me. But they said, no, you cannot be indemnified because you were not convicted. Only the convicted ones will be indemnified. So this is the kind of justice system we have in the Philippines. So unjust. But anyway, you know, in jail, despite all the difficulties, despite all the hardships, I thought that gave me a way to steal myself also. It was a stealing process. And it was a way to maybe experience that faith and that hope. And not only for me, but for the other inmates. Because we were helping one another there. We were teaching each other there what it means to stand. What it means to be hopeful. What it means to have that great faith in ourselves. Maybe we were not saying God and saying those words, but I think we were living that. And I think that was a very important thing in the life of a political prisoner. And to be able to exude that faith and hope. And so when I left the prison, I said, what will I do? Some people told me, have you not learned your lesson? You better stop the... But I said, learned my lesson. I have learned that I must double time. And I must never tire and retire. So that's why now I am here. I am still with the peasants. And I am still working hard. I'm working, helping the political prisoners to be also up. Thank you.